So certainly there's some reasons to have food available. And as I mentioned before, I don't want to scare people into having a food storage. The news does that way better than I ever could. All you have to do is look at current events on the news, what's going around in the world, and you realize that maybe it's a good idea to have a little bit of food set aside for my family. And the neat thing is, you constantly hear is about food illnesses, poultry diseases, things like that that are slowly cropping in onto a lot of our food supply that we depend on. Certainly in emergencies, there's a lot of anxiety for getting to the store to get food. We see this year after year during winter storms. Shelves get raided, and that's just a winter storm. That's just the winter or the weatherman warning you of maybe a foot of snow coming over the weekend. It certainly isn't any super serious event like other world events that have been happening. So I kind of want to go over why I decided to go with Thrive, why Thrive was what I chose for my family's storage plan, and it has to do with um, overall quality, overall flavor, and really, they were the only companies that I found that does everything by ingredient list. Being that I worked in the restaurants for the last 10 years in a major city area, um, I wanted to be able to cook with as little or as much as I wanted to. Now, this enables me to not only have fresh fruits, vegetables, everything I already cook with on a year round basis, but it also saves me money and time. The neat thing about the Thrive products or any sort of food storage is you don't have as much waste. When you're trying to effectively give your family more fruits, more vegetables, a lot of that will go to waste. How many times have you thrown away the stuff at the bottom of your produce drawer in the fridge that you either forgot about or it went bad before you could use it? Berries are a perfect example, like strawberries here. I like using the strawberries a little bit in my oatmeal, sometimes in my cereal. But if I were to buy strawberries in December, I'm worried about seasonal prices, what country they're coming from. Certainly, a lot of the raspberries and things will go bad even before I get home from the store. So you just spent $5 on a little pint of blueberries. Well, the ones in the bottom are the ones you couldn't see were a little bit fuzzy, and you paid for those. Even in some of the vegetable preps, uh, everything here is already diced, ready to go. So there's less prep time. You're not spending as much time as in the kitchen, dicing, chopping, peeling. Certainly, like the ends of onions, the peeling of carrots. That's all weight that was weighed at the store that you paid good money for. Um, so it's a very effective way to do, like I said, as little or as much as you want. If I'm already making, let's say, a can of stew, that I bought 10 for 10 at the local grocery store, and I want to bulk it up a little bit. I want to get more vegetables in there. Well, I can certainly do that, and I do that on a regular basis. I add in the sweet corn, some of the best corn you're ever going to taste, carrots, celery, peas, even the cauliflower. I'm not a cauliflower guy. I was pretty impressed with the cauliflower. Uh, the important thing to me was to find out that these guys try to source all the stuff out of the U.S. Now, certainly that's not possible to tell you that it's 100% from the U.S., but most of it is. They're also able to take the peak of the freshness from the crop. So a lot of the fruits and vegetables you get are picked what they call prior to ripen. They ripen on the way to the store. These guys have the ability to wait till things are ripe. They get it to the factory, and then it gets freeze dried. You will see on the link they do have dehydrated and freeze dried. But the important thing to me that I found out through these guys is none of the canning process is done outside of the United States. So whether they're getting mangoes outside of the U.S. because it's a tropical fruit or it's the time of year, the mangoes have to come back to Utah. They have to get inspected, go through the FDA, inspection trials. Everything gets washed. There's no noticeable pesticides in any of this stuff. They test it on a regular basis, and their in-house scrutiny is kind of what really shocked me. The effort these guys go through to make sure the product has no pesticides. Is a special list if you guys are interested. Not all of it is GMO free, but I certainly have a list for that if you're interested. There are many products that are, and more every day that they're adding. Gluten allergies. There's a no dairy version that you can get, and you will see a lot of people will see this at Costco. Um, what I am is I'm basically a representative factory direct for the company, and it allows you to get a little bit cheaper price than Costco. Costco has a lot of cool stuff, but they only deal in big packages and only in the big number 10 cans. One of the things that got me about these guys is they're one of the only cans that carries what they call a pantry can, and this can is small enough that I can open it, I can use it, and it fits in my cupboard, so that I'm not going out to the garage hunting for the bigger cans. Now certainly the big cans are useful on like corn, instant milk, the powdered eggs, things that my family uses more of. It's just more convenient and economical to buy a bigger can. But with all the fruits, all the tropical vegetables you see up here, it's certainly a whole lot easier to incorporate this stuff in your everyday cooking with these smaller cans. Now they were a shelf company. That's how the whole company got started. And I can put in a picture right here of their shelf system. Their shelf system is what you'll see in the grocery stores with some of the newer like soup areas in the Campbell soup aisle. You put in the stuff you just got from the store on the top and it rolls to the back, so that you're always eating the first in, and the first out goes to the back. So you have a perfect rotation system. There's no more of the little 3-card monte trying to find which date you've got and what was the soup you got when you get back from Costco or any of the grocery stores with the best 10 for 10 deal. So a lot of people ask me what's so special about the freeze-dried process. Now, as I mentioned before, they do have some things that are freeze-dried and dehydrated. Some things just don't matter, and the cost is going to be less on dehydrated. So, for instance, like onions, they have dehydrated and freeze-dried. Now, the dehydrated is perfect for stews, some of your baking, but if you're trying to make a fresh salsa with the onions, you want something freeze-dried because it comes back instantly with a little bit of water, and it still has that fresh crunch to it that you're looking for in more of a salsa type dish. So certainly, to save money, some of the products are dehydrated, or you can choose. Actually, they have dehydrated bananas. You've probably gotten all your trail mixes, where the freeze-dried banana is phenomenal. The flavor's there. It looks a little bit different, but it's unbelievable. So for banana pancakes, banana breads, anything like that, it's just truly phenomenal, where you couldn't really do that with the dehydrated products. Now, me being an outdoorsman, I enjoy putting my own meals together. I take some of the roast beef, some of the corn, some of the chilies, and onions, you name it, get all your stuff in there, and you add a little bit of water, and it comes right back, and you've got an instant stew. Now, certainly I don't want to put down any other companies, because there are some really good outdoor freeze-dried companies out there. But a lot of them have extra stuff added. There's extra sodium levels in a lot of that stuff, and preservatives. And with these guys, there isn't anything added to most of the stuff, I will say. Celeries, the ingredients on celery is freeze-dried celery. It's the same for the chicken. It's not pretend chicken, it's real chicken. They do offer some TVP products for people that are interested in texture vegetable protein. I have found that personally for me, I have to use those in moderation. I prefer the actual real meat freeze-dried, and that's certainly something you can do. So, for emergencies, this is obviously perfect for emergencies. We spoke to that. But I don't want you to buy a bunch of this stuff and put it in your garage for 30 years and throw it away. I want you to use it every day. Even if you only use strawberries in your morning oatmeal, as we discussed, you're still going to save yourself money and time. If you bought this strawberry with today's dollars, if anybody follows inflationary terms, who knows what strawberries are going to cost us here in the US 2 years from now. So if you're using the same can of strawberries in your oatmeal for the next 2 years, you're still going to save yourself a whole lot of money. On average, these have about 25 to 30 year shelf life before you open them. Everyone's a little bit different, and it's all included right on the can. Once you open these, you still have 1 to 2 years to use them. So I've opened a ton of these, and I encourage you guys to do it, because you need to know how to cook with it. You want to know what it tastes like, and if it's something you're not interested in, you certainly want to be stuck with a bunch of pre-made stuff. Like some of the other emergency foods where there's already composed entrees, you may find that you don't like maybe the spices they used, or it's a little bit too tomatoey. Well, you can't adjust that once that's in the can, and now you're stuck with that 1 year supply of tomato chili soup that just tastes way too tomatoey for you and your family's liking. With this, you can adjust all that. If you don't want to have any sodium because you have dietary restrictions, certainly you can cook with all this and use absolutely no salt whatsoever. It really lends itself to everyone's unique things. Like I said, this is the stuff you're already going to buy in the store. It's already with a great shelf life, and there's no waste with the product. So people ask me, well, how much is one of these? How much do I get out of it? And I'll tell you, like this one here, the instant milk, by far one of the best instant milk for flavor I've ever found. And again, it's non-fat skim milk, real instant non-fat milk with vitamin A and D. That's the only thing in here. And the instant milk is phenomenal. They do have a powdered milk that's better for making biscuits and things like this. Number 10 can of instant milk will make 5 gallons. And again, you don't have to worry about environmental concerns with the milk that maybe is happening currently. With the eggs, you don't have to deal with poultry or a lot of the diseases, or even worrying about what 2020 article was talking about, what chickens, and then you're worried about which ones to go from the store. I will tell you that the whole egg powder is phenomenal. Some of you guys tease me a little bit with not cooking it, but it has a wonderful flavor because it is real eggs. It's not an imitation eggs. You take a tablespoon of the instant eggs with 2 tablespoons of water and you scramble it up just like a regular scrambled egg. It tastes like scrambled egg because it is scrambled eggs. Anyone's used like the egg beater liquid product, it cooks identical. You won't know the difference. This little can here, the pantry can, this is 60 eggs. The larger one of number 10 can of the powdered eggs has 236 eggs. That's like 10 dozen eggs. It's something ridiculous. And again, 25-year shelf life. Once you open it, you still have the 1 to 2 years to use it, so you're not in a hurry of stuff going bad. Now, I want to kind of talk to a lot of you that already have some of your preparedness, that maybe the package deals aren't for you. Certainly a lot of us have our own stores of rices and beans, flour, sugar, a lot of the bare basics. A lot of us have already started to store in large quantities in maybe 5-gallon buckets with Mylar bags, etc. But you're not quite there with relying on where your fruits and vegetables coming from. Certainly not all of us have the best green thumb when it comes to gardening. I'm certainly still learning on how to garden. But if it came down to my family having to live off of what I was able to grow, some of us would be in trouble. So for those of you that maybe do your own hunting, that have all your rice and your beans and things like that, your basic necessities squared away, but you're not spending a lot of time growing, or maybe you don't have the square footage such as an apartment, there are small gardens that you can do for fresh herbs and stuff, but in an apartment you're not going to be able to grow the amount of food to be able to can and dehydrate to sustain your family over the years. So the neat thing about these guys is if you just want to get just the fruits, you can order a package of just all the tropical fruits in the little cans or in the big cans. You can get just the vegetables. So if you want to incorporate fresh vegetables year round without worrying about seasonal, or maybe that year was weird for crops. Certainly last year it was a weird growing year. Pumpkins didn't grow right. This is nationwide. There was a worry there was going to be a shortage for just October Halloween pumpkins because the growing season was just not right for pumpkins. And that certainly happens all over the place, not just in the personal little victory gardens and things that you have in your backyard, but this goes for the professional growers. You looked at all the strawberries in Florida that froze, and prices get jacked up because of that. This is a great way to hedge against any sort of inflation or seasonal injuries to the crops. Certainly there's a lot of grocery stores that rely on fruits and vegetables south of the border in the winter months because we can't grow then, and our economy is the way it is. We're a global society, so we pull stuff from all over the world. But when certain areas have a damaged crop and we depend on all of our Roma tomatoes from Chile during the winter, then you're stuck with higher prices, a lesser quality product, and this really hedges against that. And certainly there's a lot of folks that like to hedge inflation for gold and silver. I like to use food, personally. It's just my own choice. You can make your own choice for what's good for your family. Now certainly you guys have followed me for a while know that I store rice in 5-gallon buckets, and when I go to larger chain stores to get the 50-pound bag of rice, I will tell you that I've noticed prices myself. To save my family money, I use that every day, every other day that I cook with, making breads, rice for lunches, things like that. But that 50-pound sack I bought in 2008, over 3 years ago, was only $16. I went to go replace that sack in my rotation process, and it now costs me $25 for the same bag of rice. And so I like to use food as an inflationary hedge, because I know that it's going to hold its value and this isn't going to go bad. Whether you've opened the can or not, I'm still going to use it a couple years from now. So, what does that mean for me and my family? The way these guys have it set up, sky's the limit on if you only want to buy strawberries from me, you can. You don't have to buy the $1,000 year supply if a lot of those items in there you either already have stored, such as rice, beans, and sugar, things like that, or if it's things that you're not comfortable eating. If you're not a TVP fan, you want to be able to customize it. What Thrive does is it takes the guesswork out. They have what we call the queue, and we can set you up on the queue. It takes very little questions. Basically, what it's going to ask you is how many people are in your family, how many calories do you want for each person, and give me a date. I want 6 months worth of supply of food. It's going to calculate how many things of oatmeal you're going to need, how many things of carrots, how many things of eggs, all your essentials in there. And it's going to spit out this big long grocery list to you, and it's going to be kind of intimidating at first because you're going to be like, that's a lot of product. What these guys will do is you tell me, we'll put it on the queue, that I still want to be able to go to the grocery store. I still want to be able to take my family out to dinner, but I would like to start supplying some of my family with this. For one, I want to taste what the products taste like. I want to start using them in my normal diet, and I only want to spend $50 a month maybe, or 60 or 70 or whatever out of your monthly food budget you want to put towards something like this. And at $50 a month, $60 a month, the queue is going to spit out that grocery list a few bits at a time. And I'll give you examples of some of the things I've ordered in a different video. But it's a really good way to do it for a lot of folks, that, especially with the world events, that are basically saying, I would like to have a little bit of food storage for the family. I'm not going to go live in the woods with my rifle and be a survivalist, but I want to know what this tastes like. The other thing about the queue that I find just terrific is if you get some of the items and you find out your family doesn't like cauliflower. Again, in your queue, you can choose to do just pantry cans if you don't want the larger stuff, or however you want. It's not set in stone. So if you find your family doesn't like cauliflower, take all the cauliflower off your grocery list. If you see it's coming on the next monthly shipment, take it off, put on sweet potatoes, put on potato cubes, put on whatever your family already has enjoyed because you've been cooking with some of it, so that to store extra broccoli, or if your daughter likes spinach, you can store those things instead of being stuck with a package deal where there's some items in there your family doesn't enjoy. I think that's the best way to do it. Certainly there's a lot of offers and different packages that are nice just to get something into your pantry so that you're saved. You've got a little bit of food set aside, and then start using it. Start picking at it and being like, okay, we like that. I'm going to order another case of strawberries because I know my family's going to use those strawberries. I'm only going to order the eggs because it's a neat way for me to have scrambled eggs in the morning, or make French toast, or make, there's a whole number of things without worrying about how old the eggs are, whether I'm going to the store. Certainly this type of program is going to save you a whole lot of gasoline going back to the store. I talk to family after family who, that's how they decide what's for dinner, is when everyone's home, they decide what they're going to eat, and then you go to the store to get it. And that's where prepping, where putting food aside, is really advantageous, because it saves you gas and time. If only I wanted to do, the example I gave was Hamburger Helper. Certainly I enjoy Hamburger Helper. It sometimes you can get really good deals at the grocery store. It's 10 for 10, but you realize that you're going to need a cup of milk for a lot of those recipes, and you're going to need a pound of hamburger. Well, you have a pound of ground beef in your storage. You can instantly make milk, even if you don't make a larger batch ahead of time. It just takes 2 seconds to make a cup of milk that you need for the recipe. And now you didn't go to the store. You're making Hamburger Helper for the family, and it was already in your pantry. We're bringing that food store to your own pantry, so that no matter what the situation, what you decide to cook, you've got all the ingredients already in front of you in your pantry. And it's a neat way to do it. I'm going to give an email down below if you guys have any questions. I'm also going to leave a web link to the store where you can purchase this stuff. Ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. Either you can do it through the YouTube here, or you can do it through the links down below. But either way, it's a great way to start storing things for your family, and I'll continue to do videos on different products that these guys carry, different ways to cook with them. But I will tell you, they've got a great setup, and it's what I decided to go with for my family. Thanks for watching.